Oh, hello, great readers. I'm Belchan.
I'm Nimakung.
I'm Van Chan.
In this class, I'll read all of your part of Great Expectations.
Ah.
Oh. Great Expectations. Charles Dickens. Chap, 19 Sec 2. Yet a gentleman should not be unjust neither, said Biddy, turning away her head. Sentiment, waving its application. I have since seen reason to think I was right, and I walked down the little path away from Biddy, and Biddy went into the house, and I went out at the garden gate and took a dejected stroll until supper time, again feeling it very sorrowful and strange that this, the second night of my bright fortunes, should be as lonely and unsatisfactory as the first. But morning once more brightened my view, and I extended my clemency to Biddy, and we dropped the subject, putting on the best clothes I had. I went into town as early as I could hope to find the shops open, and presented myself before Mr. Tar, the tailor, who was having his breakfast in the parlour behind his shop, and who did not think it worth his while to come out to me, but called me into him. Well, said Mr. Tar, in a hail fellow well met kind of way. How are you, Mr. Chap had sliced his hot roe into 3 feather bits, and was slipping butter in between the blankets and covering it up. He was a prosperous old bachelor, and his open window looked into a prosperous little garden and orchard. His fireplace, in bags, Wistu. Trev, said I. It's an unpleasant thing to have to mention, because it looks like boasting. A change passed over Mr. Tao. He forgot the butter in bed, got up from the bedside, and wiped his fingers on the tablecloth, exclaiming, I am going up to my guardian in London, said I, casually drawing some guineas out of my pocket and looking at them. And I want a fashionable suit of clothes to go in. Make them. My dear sir, said Mr. Crow, as he respectfully bent his body, opened his arms, and took the liberty of touching me on the outside of each elbow. Don't hurt me by mentioning that. May I venture to congratulate you, Mr. Charles Boy was the most audacious boy in all that countryside. When I entered, he was sweeping the shop, and he had sweetened his labours by sweeping over me. He was still sweeping when I came out into the shop with Mr. Tar, and he knocked the broom against all possible corners and obstacles, to express, as I understood it, equality with any blacksmith, alive or dead. Hold that noise, said Mr. Tar, with the greatest sternness, or I'll knock your head off. Do me the favour to be seated. Sir. Then. This, said Mr. Tar, taking down a roll of cloth, and tidying it out in a flowing manner over the counter, preparatory to getting his hand under it to show the gloss, is a very sweet article. I can recommend it for your purpose. So, because it really is extra super. But you shall see some others. Give me number 4. Yeah, to the boil. And with a dreadfully severe stare, foreseeing the danger of that miscreant's brushing me with it. Whister. On the counter and was at a safe distance again. Then he commanded him to bring number 5. And number 8. And let me have none of your tricks here, said Mr. Trout, or you shall repent it. You young scoundrel. Whister. Chap then bent over number 4. For some aware. An article much in vogue among the nobility and gentry. Distinguished fellow townsmen, if ye might claim me for a fellow townsman having worn. Are you bringing numbers 5 and 8? You vagabond, said Mr. Chap to the boy after that. I selected materials for a seat. With the assistance of Mr. Chap's judgment, I arranged the parlour to be measured. For although Mr. Chap had my measure already, and had previously been quite contented with it, he said apologetically that it wouldn't do under existing circumstances. So it'll do it all. So, Whister. Chap measured and calculated me in the parlour, as if I were an estate and he the finest species of surveyor. Clothes could possibly remunerate him for his pains. When he had at last done and had appointed to send the articles to Mr. Pumblecock's on the Thursday evening, he said, with his hand up on the parlour lock, I know. So, that London gentleman cannot be expected to patronise local work. As a rule, a townsman, I should greatly esteem it. Good morning. So, the last word was flung at the boy, who had not the least notion what it meant. But I saw him collapse as his master rubbed me out with his hands. And my first decided experience of the stupendous power of money was that it had mortally laid upon his backdrab's boy. After this memorable event, I went to the hatters, and the bootmakers, and the hosiers, trades, warning. It was not necessary to explain everywhere that I had come into handsome property, but whenever I said anything to that effect, by the High Street, and concentrated his mind upon me, when I had ordered everything I wanted, I directed my steps towards Pumblecock's, and then, as I approached that gentleman's place of business, I saw him standing at his door. He was waiting for me with great impatience. He had been out early with the chaise cart, and had called at the verge and heard the news. He had prepared a collation for me in the Barnwell parlour. Person passed. My dear friend, said Mr. Pumblecock, taking me by both hands, when he and I and the collation were alone. I give you joy of your good fortune. Well deserved. This was coming to the point, and I thought it a sensible way of expressing himself. To think, said Mr. Pumblecock, after snorting admiration at me for some moments, that I should have been the humble instrument of leading up to this. I begged Mr. Pumblecock to remember that nothing was to be ever said or intended on that point. My dear young friend, said Mr. Pumblecock. I murmured certainly, and Mr. Pumblecock took me by both hands again, and communicated a movement to his waistcoat, which had an emotional appearance, though it was rather low down. my dear young friend. Rely upon my doing my little all in your absence, by keeping the fact before the mind of Joseph. Joseph, said Mr. Unblickuk, in the way of a compassionate adoration. Joseph, Joseph. Thereupon he shook his head and tapped it, expressing his sense of deficiency in Joseph. But my dear young friend, said Mr. Unblickuk, you must be hungry. You must be exhausted. Be seated. Here is a chicken head round from the boar. Here is a tongue head round from the boar. Here is one or two little things head round from the boar. That I hope you may not despise. What do I, said Mr. Unblickuk. To be continued.